Advent, we are going to be exploring the prophecies of Isaiah because he has a way of saying things that we can understand. And he draws pictures for us that come to life. Today we are exploring the idea of peace. I say idea because it's so hard to get to the reality of peace. Peace is not passive. It's not something we fall into or simply pray for. Peace is a movement that calls for action, passion, and courage. This section of the prophet begins, "This is what Isaiah ben Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem." We certainly wouldn't talk like that. We would say the word that Isaiah, son of Amos, heard. Because one hears what God is saying. One doesn't see it, right? What does the prophet mean when he says he sees this word? I doubt if this was an early reference to texting or tweeting. Isaiah is inviting us, even pleading with us, to see what peace looks like. Peace is a sacrifice of ourselves, our self-righteousness in needing others to believe exactly what we believe. The sacrifice of giving up some of our rights in order to make peace happen. The sacrifice of our closely held prejudices toward others. Isaiah wants us to picture peace, know what it looks like in order to achieve it, to go after it. I believe that peace is both personal and communal. So many of us are not at peace in our own spirits. The clergy retreat I attended 2 weeks ago dealt with taking care of yourself. And we talked about the difficulty of finding personal peace. All of us have that. Our lives are demanding, work is demanding, family is demanding, and then we throw in the unsettledness of our denomination and the concern about what our church will look like after General Conference 2020. There is little peace in Methodism right now for anyone. But there's a lot of room for new energy and new possibilities. Add to all of that the state of our country. Anger, incivility, and recklessness permeate our nation, our communities, some of our families, and our own souls. How do we find peace amid the turmoil that is just spinning around us in our daily lives? If the prophets and Jesus Christ are any guide, we must give up the idea of finding peace and embrace the reality of making peace. Peace becomes something that we do for ourselves. We make amends to those we have hurt. Not with that left-handed kind of apology that goes something like this. If there's something I've done to offend you, I'm sorry. But with the humble words, I'm sorry that I hurt you. please forgive me. We suck up our pride and reach out to the people in our lives whom we have ignored. And we pick up the phone and call them, or knock on their door and visit with them. We replace the hatred we might feel, or the discomfort we may feel, with unconditional love toward that former friend, or that in-law, or errant child, or errant parent. Being at peace in our lives doesn't just happen. We are called by God to make peace. And when that peace is made, we are free from those bonds of discord that just squeeze the life out of us. Making peace in our personal lives is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage, sacrifice, and a lot of love. And so does the cause of peace in our world. Because making peace is something we also do for others. Again, Isaiah asks us to visualize what we must courageously address. What Isaiah saw from God was this: they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. That's a vivid image. Peace is turning implements of war into implements of farming, of tilling the land, and of producing food that others can eat. Modern day swords and spears are nuclear weapons. And the United Methodist social principles call for non-proliferation and disarmament. The social principles about this are based on the words of Isaiah and also those of Hosea, who proclaimed, "I will abolish the bow, the sword, and war from the land, and I will make you lie down in safety." And Psalm 34, "Depart from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it." And the letter to Ephesians, "For he is our peace. In his flesh he has made both groups into one and has broken down the dividing wall that is the hostility between us." In 2016, the church adopted this stance. We support initiatives that move toward the goal of disarmament. This demands a radical reordering of priorities with an effective system of international peacemaking, peacekeeping, and peace building. Are we able to envision a world where human values outweigh military claims as governments determine our priorities? Can we picture a world where we no longer send our children into combat and in their youth might have to push buttons and enter codes to set off nuclear disaster? As United Methodists, we can picture those things, but we know it requires courage and fortitude to make them happen. We can do the necessary work to stop adding to the arsenal and work toward disarmament. There are roughly 15,000 nuclear warheads on Earth, and 90% of them belong to the United States and Russia. We already have the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, which was adopted in 1996, but the United States has not signed it. Neither has China, Egypt, India, Indonesia, Iran, Israel, North Korea, or Pakistan. The Non-Proliferation Treaty, or the NPT, calls for disarmament, non-proliferation, and peaceful use of nuclear energy. That treaty is not going well either. But the people of the world can obviously envision peace. And not only that, but nations already know how to get there. And many are working on it. How do we change our hearts about this? This comes from a book, 52 Wisdom Tales from Around the World. Once there was a dervish who was traveling with his student. As they walked along a road, they saw coming towards them a grand carriage pulled by many fine horses. It was traveling at an incredible speed, and as it drew near the dervish and his student, they realized it was not about to share the narrow road with them. They were obliged to throw themselves unceremoniously into the ditch along the side of the road to avoid being trampled. The student was very angry at this injustice, and was even more angered when he discovered his teacher had jumped out of the ditch and was running after the carriage, shouting a blessing. May you receive your heart's deepest desire 1,000 times over, cried the dervish. May Allah bless you. Why are you asking for Allah's blessing on those fools? The student shouted after his teacher. They could have killed us. His teacher returned, panting with his effort. He said to the student, do you think that if their deepest desires were satisfied, they would go about treating people as they have treated us? Think about that for a minute. Are we able to honestly bless those who hurt and threaten us in order to plant the seeds of peace, to plant the seeds of awareness and thoughtfulness? It takes a bigger view of the people of the earth and a bigger understanding of our own capabilities. It is courageous work, sacrificial work, humble work, and wise work. We can beat warheads into plows, and we can exchange mushroom clouds for pruning hooks. But we can't do it sitting on the couch, or through anger and revenge, or without a plan. We can, though, shout words of peace from the ditches that we're in, if need be. We can support groups who are striving for peace. We can get involved. We can write letters. And most of all, we can get educated about this issue. In Isaiah's time, the prophet knew that war could wipe out whole countries and tribes. Wipe them off the face of the earth. In our time, it only takes a few bombs. Biblical visions in both the Old and New Testaments come to us from the future, longing to shape the days that we are living in. As we enter the Advent season of preparation, let us prepare to make peace in our lives and in our world. Jesus told us that not all would like the kingdom that he was ushering in. He warned us that oddly, making peace would make some people angry. He also blessed the peacemakers, those who lived his gospel, and said that peacemakers are the children of God. And so we pray, O come, Emmanuel, and bless each place where people dwell. Melt every weapon crafted for war, bring peace upon the earth forevermore. Rejoice, rejoice. Take heart and do not fear. God's chosen one, Emmanuel, is near.